From Journey with VRD, you're listening to the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast, the number one place for spirituality, healing, and transcendence. I'm your host, Vivian Raquel Dayan. Now let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast. I am so excited to be back. This episode, we have a really special guest. I cannot wait to introduce you to her. I personally love everything she stands for, her mission, her vision, her big manifestation for her company. But before we get into today's podcast guest, I wanted to talk about some of the awesome things happening at Journey with VRD. So first and foremost, if you haven't already, go take the free manifestation quiz we came out with on journeywithvrd.com. This quiz is crucial in gaining the clarity around where you're currently at in your manifestation process, and then gaining the clarity on which dimension to your ascension is next for you to bring your manifestation to life. There's 5 dimensions: getting crystal clear, taking inventory, the purge, aka my favorite, the rebirth, and then the daily practice. So go to www.journeywithvrd.com right now, find out which dimension you're in. DM me on Instagram at journeywithvrd.com. Let me know which dimension you're in. It'll be awesome too for you to know which dimension you're in for this podcast, because you'll get to follow along our guest journey as she talks about which phase of her manifestation journey she's currently in. So go take that right now. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. Today is a very special episode of the Visions, Missions, and Manifestations podcast. We have Michal Mishon, founder and creative director of the Seventh Chariot. The Seventh Chariot is the first wearable fine jewelry in wellness. Each piece is encoded with sacred geometry and natural frequency technology. I'm actually wearing a piece right now for those who are watching. So, Michal, to get started, do you want to share with us how you started the Seventh Chariot?
Yes. So thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. This is very exciting. When I first met you, I was like, okay, this girl, she's special. We have to talk. We have to continue the conversation. So I'm happy to be here. I've been fortunate enough in my life to have been around business, and I have been around this technology for a while. So this was the first culmination of something that I'm passionate about, which is fine jewelry and meaningful design. And so I was able to then translate that into something that I feel is first of its category, which is also an exciting venture. Just because, there is so much out there, I really wanted to create something that was unique and special. So it kind of was a culmination of divine timing, the right time in my life. And it just was something that was like a spark was started. And it honestly has been this very divine situation since then. It's kind of happening organically but beautifully, and it just feels more than what it is. It feels like there's this mission to bring the technology to the world and to share this with the world in a way that's unique and different. So yeah, we can talk more about the mission and the why and all that, but it really has come to a point where I'm in a place in my life where I'm like ready to commit, and I have the time now, and I'm just ready to like really, share this with the world.
I can't wait to get into the mission. But before we do, I want to hear more about the right time in your life, because I feel like so many women are
Yeah,
waiting for that right time in order to start the thing that
right,
they can't stop thinking about.
right. So thank God I have 4 beautiful children. And yes, being from a business background and a family business background, I've always seen what it's like to have a mom that's working. And for myself, I was always in the situation where I said, I would like, because I don't balance things so well. I'm kind of like 150%, in on anything that I'm doing. So the last 16 years, I've been raising my beautiful children, and they still are young, but they're not babies. So I genuinely felt like that chapter was really dedicated to my marriage, my home life, my family, my children, and they are still number one priority, first and foremost. However, as they mature and as they get older, and as the physical demands, even though the emotional demands are definitely there, the physical demands are less, which leave me a little bit more of flexibility in my schedule. So while they're my first job, there was finally enough time for me to say, okay, I can balance this in a way that's healthy, in a way where they always come first, but there is room for me to continue on doing what I love to do. So I come from a business school background. Also, I went to Yeshiva University, and so I have a bachelor's of science in marketing. And so it was always something that, like, I knew I loved business. It just wasn't the right time when I was, newly married and having my babies.
That makes so much sense. I
Yeah.
do find that the women who've had mothers who've worked
Mhm.
tend to also find it, I don't want to say easier, but more natural to get into something as an adult too. Is there
Yeah.
something that your mother taught you about working that you want to share and that has positively impacted your life?
So my mom has always been a people person and very big into the connection. So her business structure and model hasn't been like the typical corporate model where it's like, play by the book and do everything obviously straight and narrow, but at the same time, there's so much opportunity out there when you could think outside the box a little bit. And you put the pieces together and you say like, okay, I know this person and I know that person. Let's have this conversation. What if we did it that way? So I think what my mom taught me in terms of business is that ability to be open-minded and to think outside the box and to really kind of, come up with solutions to anything that comes your way. Not to be so rigid, I think, because, sometimes things happen that we can't control. So we need to have that flexibility.
I love that piece of advice, especially now in a time where everything's always changing. You have to get ready to be
Yeah.
flexible.
Yes.
So, one of the reasons why I asked you to come on this podcast is because of the alignment of the Seventh Chariot with Journey
Mhm.
with VRD. Journey with VRD is all about manifestation, backed by neuroscience. And I truly do believe from firsthand experience the power of geometry and sacred technology. And I've even done meditations, and I know you sell a lot of jewelry pieces called the Merkaba.
Oh, yes. I'm actually wearing one today. This is the Merkaba.
It's beautiful. And I'll even say when I first put on this necklace, like I just felt differently. How'd you get into sacred geometry and this realm of spirituality?
Okay. So I come from a very spiritual background. And my husband, who is also my partner, co-founder in Seventh Chariot, is extremely Kabbalistic in terms of his learning, and he reads, and we're both very like deep when it comes to this stuff. But it's also for me, it's been kind of like in my makeup, in my nature. So it was something that I was always drawn to. I always was connected to that side of spirituality. And when it comes to the sacred geometry aspect of the designs that we use, it's really about the fact that there are so many beautiful pieces of jewelry out there. But when I thought about it, I said that the sacred designs to me, sacred geometry is like really comes from God. So why don't we take those designs and do something meaningful with it? So the sacred geometry is really the patterns that are found in nature. It's the mathematical design of the world, let's say. And we see that in snowflakes, in architecture, and just in lightning bolts. You see the tree of life. Like there's so many things. And what it teaches me and what it shows me is that there is a bigger design out there. We're all part of this bigger, unique design. And I think it's just incredible to remember that because as human beings on this planet, we kind of get knocked out of alignment. And what happens is that we forget that there's like a plan and we forget sometimes to stay in that flow state and trust the process. So we just, with our anxieties and our fear and our worry, we kind of get bent out of alignment and think that we can control situations, which we can, but at the same time realizing that there is a bigger design at hand that we're all part of.
And so, would you say that each piece of jewelry is almost like a symbol or a crystal trigger
Hmm.
to help you remember to
Yeah.
stay in
Yeah,
flow?
in alignment. Yes. Like for example, the Merkaba that you pointed out. So this
Mhm.
specific design, just for example, is it's an actual. symbol of the physical and the spiritual world connected. So it's two interlocking
Oh,
triangles. The actual design has one triangle pointing upwards and one triangle pointing downwards. So that what that's really telling us is that we need to find the balance between the physical and the spiritual world. We can't be too much in either. We need to find balance. And when you find balance, you can stay in that flow state of alignment and you can kind of see how your world and how your life unfolds beautifully. It's all about balance.
I love this so much. And this takes me back to the beginning of your story. So now your kids got older.
Yeah.
And what exactly inspired you to get into jewelry and not only jewelry, but like spiritual, meaningful jewelry to help one stay in alignment?
It was kind of during around the time of COVID where things kind of got like a little dark in the world, I would
Mhm.
say, but obviously always looking for the light and the positivity. And I'm always drawn to things that kind of have like purpose and meaning. I kind of like, I err on the side of like overproductive. So I'm like, if I'm gonna wear something or use something or do something, like it has to like serve a purpose. I obviously like nice things, but I was like, what can I create? Or because I didn't see anything out there in the wearable wellness world of fine jewelry that really spoke to me. So I see our pieces as tools of alignment because they are all energetically programmed. So there's two factors to the jewelry. There's the design, which is just meaningful design, and those serve as reminders every day. Then there's actual programming that goes into the actual pieces, like each pendant gets programmed. So what that does is that's affecting your biofield, and that's really bringing you back down to like a natural state of alignment. So there was a time where I was like, okay, life is crazy, the world is crazy. I have access to this incredible technology. Let's create something that is meaningful, unique, spiritual, purposeful, going to act as a tool of alignment because there's not just, there isn't just one tool. There's so many tools that you could use. I call it like a toolbox, like what's in your toolbox of alignment. So for me, this was like, okay, something that I can put on. I might not have all the time in the world to go outside and put my feet in the grass or, journal or meditate or take my oil or do any of that. But if I'm wearing something, that's at least a little bit of step in the right direction to alignment and to balancing my energy and my biofield and staying within that state. So I was like, you know what, this really felt like there was like a calling. And at one point, I remember having the conversation with my husband, and we went down this like, what is going to happen in the world kind of conversation, with like, there's so much beauty, but then there's also so much darkness happening. And we
Mhm.
just both felt that we're in this kind of limbo right now between like the dark versus the light. And we were like, okay, who are we? We are light seekers. We are light bringers. We are people. What is our job as humans? What is our job as people? Like, why are we here? We're here to bring light into the world, to be kind, to be aligned, to do good. That's really the purpose. At the end of the day, you want to have good characteristics. You want to be a good person. You want to be kind to others. You want to bring light into the world. But you can't really do that if you're like knocked out of alignment. You can't do
Mhm.
that if you're energetically just like a mess. So then I kind of like the seed was planted was it's my mission to bring this technology and this light force into the world because our tagline is really awaken the light within.
Oh, I
And
love
that's
that.
really what I'm saying. Like what it means is that each person has the potential no matter what you think, if you think you're full of fear or anxiety or you have issues or whatever your life experience has been, I truly believe that every person has that ability to awaken that light within themselves and share it with the world and hopefully make the world a better place. I know it sounds like very like, I'm going to save the world. It's really more of like, let's try to bring this light into the world because obviously we want to have a beautiful life experience and we want to leave something that's purposeful to our kids
Mhm.
and leave them a world that is full of more light than it is right now.
It's a legacy, right? Where did the name Seventh Chariot
Yeah.
come from? I know probably so many people have that question too.
I know. It's interesting. I really believe a lot of it was also just divine downloads that like, we got. And as we were talking, I said, okay, let's talk about, what this thing is going to be called. We didn't want it to just have a name named after a person or named after, it needed to mean something because every part of this business that has unfolded has been super meaningful. And I think that's at the core of who we are. And we wanted to stick with that. So seven is a very powerful number. It's the number of spiritual wholeness and completion. And you see a lot of sevens in nature in the world. You see it in 7 days of creation. You see it in the seven auditory notes, seven colors in the rainbow. You see so many things where it's like, oh, seven. Seven is that whole number. And we wanted to say, okay, the chariot is that movement,
Mm-hmm.
symbolizes the movement. So now we are in this like chariot of movement towards our spiritual completion and our spiritual wholeness. So it's a journey, and we're on this journey, but the journey is to get to that place of complete wholeness.
And
So
what I
that's where
love,
it came
yeah.
from.
What I love about this, especially when we talk about the legacy that you guys are going to leave for your children, but also like humanity, like the whole company,
Mhm.
is that you're leaving behind or you're creating even a tool where one can utilize this piece of jewelry in order to really get deep into their spirituality, into their light, into their truth, and complete whatever cycle they're going through so that they don't have to do
Yeah.
this over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really like maybe also turning 40 has been a big milestone for me.
Mm,
Um, and I don't remember who said it, but someone said that, or was it, I don't remember who said it, but they said everything until 40 is like basically doing research, and I look back now and I'm like, okay, for getting to this point has been great, but like now is the time for change. Now is the time for refinement. Now is the time to really reflect and to say, what are things that don't serve me anymore? And what
hmm.
are things that I would love to let go of? What am I looking forward to the future? It's kind of like a stop and reassess point. That's what it feels like for me. So I think that also was really much, a time of reflection in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm good. Like I got to this point, everything is great, but like, what are we doing here? Like how
Hmm.
can we do better? How can we be better people? How can we just like, it's so easy to get caught up in so much of the noise and the nonsense and the
Hmm.
chaos and the going and the doing. And thank God we live beautiful lives in beautiful communities, but there's so much noise.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, it's really taking that time to say like, okay, what is my truth? What am I living for? And if I could help one person in that journey feel anything, then that's worth every single thing that I'm doing. And at the end of the day, we do have clinical studies, which is I could send you as a beautiful thing to just be able to lean on.
Hmm.
So it's not just, theories, but it's energetically aligning yourself and getting to that state where you can be the best version of yourself.
This is so beautiful. Okay, so speaking
Yeah.
of 40, can
Yeah.
you talk to us about do you know your astrological trio or your sun sign?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
can you share so we
And
could
this will
like place
explain
you?
this will explain a lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So I'm a Gemini sun and a Gemini moon and a Leo
Wow.
rising.
Okay, so the Leo rising explains a lot of like Instagram being really light and bright because you're meant to
Yeah.
be on camera and all of that. And then, wait, when's your birthday? May what?
June 18th.
June 18th. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
due in May. That's why I was like,
Ah,
okay. But
so
no, it's
fun. So
May
fun.
Gemini. Yes, so fun.
Different, very different Geminis. My husband's a May Gemini. My sister's an early June Gemini. Totally different.
Totally different.
Totally different.
And Geminis are also really deep. So I
Yeah.
can see where the spirituality comes from and
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
downloads and
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
Um, it's so funny that you brought up like getting rid of the things that no longer serve us because like everybody here on the podcast knows we did
Mhm.
just come out with the manifestation quiz that tells you where you are in your
I took
manifestation
it. I
process.
took
Okay,
the
do you want to
quiz.
share with us what you got?
Yes. I don't remember what it said, but it said something about, should I look it
Yeah.
up? Do
I
you
could
want to
look it
look it
up
up? I
right
sent it to
here.
you. Yeah.
Hold
I
on.
took it. It was so fun.
Okay, so you're actually, this is so funny. You're actually in the purge, which is my favorite. That's
Yeah.
my favorite place to be because it's
I'm in the
like
shedding.
it's not only about the shedding, it's like you know that you want your manifestation so bad and
Mhm.
you're ready. And it's funny because you said you're somebody who goes all in like 110%. It's like
Yeah.
you're like, I want this. I know what I want. You're already
Mhm.
crystal clear, which is the first one. But now it's about not letting the noise, like you were talking about,
Mhm.
get in the
We spoke about
way
this when I met you. Yeah.
And so this is like, so I love how accurate the
Exactly.
quiz
Yeah.
is. It's also about like when you think of the purge, not just getting rid of things, but also putting up boundaries. So like where have you been
Yes.
saying yes
Yes.
where
Okay.
you wish you
Yes.
were
I,
saying
I
no?
love this question because this is something that I have been struggling with. Um, so just to go back to the whole Gemini Sun
Yeah,
moon
yeah.
thing, so that's where all this like overly communicative, overthinking, all this like outwardly stuff comes from. Like I need to really like talk about everything and think about it and kind of go over it. So like whereas when I was younger, what that looked like and what that how that came manifested itself was in like a lot of anxiety, like
Mm.
nonstop, like just, and I call it high functioning anxiety because like no one would ever look at me and be like, yeah, you don't know what you're doing and you're anxious. Like, no, I'm super high functioning. Like everything looks and seems to be totally under control, but it's where that overthinking and that questioning of the self, which is something that I'm purging,
Hmm.
getting rid of, has now hit. And how that has also shown itself is in boundaries. So looking back in certain situations, I would see myself and say, okay, everything came from a good place, but it was too much. Like too much in oversharing or too much in overgiving of myself or things like that. So what I'm learning and what's hard for me to accept is that having boundaries is a form of self-love and
Hmm.
self-preservation. It doesn't mean that I'm not a nice person. I could love everybody and I could want to help and do but I just feel like sometimes in the past I've been in situations where either I was taken advantage of or I just kind of let my guard down and certain things happen and it's all good because it is, but I don't feel that that serves me anymore. So
Right.
I definitely am. I have put up boundaries in terms of my time, my effort, my space, and now being that I'm balancing, motherhood and business, my time is so much more precious. So like I really want to focus on the things that matter most. And I know we all say that and we try to do that, but being that I'm all in this situation, I just feel like boundaries is like my new word in my vocabulary where I never even had that before.
Oh my gosh, you and so many other women. It's a women thing because I'll tell you why. A lot of the time, we feel like we shouldn't have any boundaries, that it's going to be like the best way for people to get to know us. And it's also people tech pleasing technique, right?
100%. Yeah.
Especially if we're like a high functioning anxiety person, anxious
Hmm.
person, because what we're doing is when we have no boundaries is we're looking for outside validation on everything. And when we
Hmm.
get outside validation, we lower our own vibration, our own level of self-worth.
Yeah.
And when we lower our own level of self-worth, everything else is on a pedestal. So we have to ask
Hmm.
everybody else because they're higher, they're more empowered, they know better, they have their life together. But now what we come to realize is boundaries isn't meant to control other people. It's not meant, like you said, to
Hmm.
be mean, but rather it's there to help us keep us safe, right?
Yes. Protect
I
our
can
energy.
protect our
Yeah.
energy. For
Yeah.
example, you could be so successful because of your boundaries and not the other way around. You'll never
Right.
be successful. My favorite quote I've heard, and I'm going to like totally mess this up, is that the founder of Starbucks once said, if I went for coffee with everybody who asked me to go for coffee, there would be no Starbucks. He had to
Hmm.
be extremely intentional about who he
Right.
was speaking to. And
Right.
there was a boundary around there. He didn't pick up
Right.
the phone for people who just wanted to chat or like was
Hmm.
nothingness, right? Because
Hmm.
that's noise. And it's
Right.
not a mean thing. It's
Right.
just not direction. It's
Right.
not expansion and growth.
Right.
So
Right.
I love that you brought that up.
Definitely. And that's also one of the benefits of the technology. It's interesting that when we were looking at the programming, it came out to seven benefits, which is interesting. That's why this whole thing is like bigger than me. Like I can't, I can obviously say, yes, I'm creating it. But there's so much that is just like, it feels like this force that I'm almost like
Hmm.
I'm on the ride with this force. And it's just incredible because of the way things are unfolding. And it just feels so right and it feels so good. But one of the seven benefits in the programming is that connection to that inner voice, that connection to the intuition via activation of the pineal, which is incredible. And that really is another way to have boundaries and to say, I'm going to listen to my inner voice. I'm going to
Hmm.
not quiet that down. even if it's contrary to popular belief, even if it doesn't, seem on the outside, but if it feels like something that isn't aligned with where I am right now in my life, I'm gonna put up a boundary. So that's also something that like I really am genuinely like excited to really live the rest of my life with because honestly I haven't up until this point and it's caused some situations. So, I'm just looking at this point in my life to really not perfect because that P word is dangerous, but just to really step into my own truth and hopefully help people find theirs.
What I think you're saying too is that Seventh Chariot has its own consciousness. It's bigger
Yeah.
than you. It has its own mission. And I think that's what also allows you to really connect and have the space to listen
Hmm.
to your truth and to your intuition
Hmm.
and help other people do the same thing,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
which is incredible. So,
Yeah.
something you said was contrary to popular belief. Speaking of that, is there a limiting belief that you had to overcome throughout creating the business and helping you with your success?
Yeah. So I think there are a few, but like the biggest one that comes to mind is the concept of like burnout and working. Like if you don't work yourself to death, and if you don't work yourself to the point of burnout and exhaustion, then you're not doing enough. And I think
Mhm.
that's obviously something that I think that's like an old model of work ethic and being. And I think accepting and realizing and seeing that obviously you do your due diligence. But if you allow yourself to stay in the flow state and to stay aligned with the vision and the mission and you stay on track and you put forth like all the good energy, you don't have to kill yourself to do
Mhm.
well and to do
Mm-mm.
business. And that's just something that I'm learning to balance.
That's also, and you're gonna laugh, it's also extremely like correlated to being somebody in the past who had to seek that outside validation, right?
Hmm.
Because again, you were giving your power and your validation to burnout.
Yeah.
Burnout means success. But once
Yes.
like you reclaim your power and you're like aligned with
Yes.
your intuition and you're listening to her, then you could be like, wait, I define what success is. And then the
Yes.
burnout doesn't happen.
Yes. And also realizing that you could connect to so much more in the stillness sometimes. Like
Hmm.
it's funny. So when my husband and I met, the whole like I was like, I was in college and I was interning, I was doing PR and I was doing creative. I was just every minute of the day was so fully scheduled and packed. And when I met him, and it's funny because he's end of May Gemini, um, Taurus Gemini really, but his whole thing was like, sit down, like relax. And I'm like, but what are we doing? We're not doing anything. I
Right.
can't just like lie here and relax or like sit down and like look outside. So that has been something that the last like almost 20 years of marriage has really taught me. And also taking that and carrying that into now this business, and just kind of shedding that whole concept of like you have to constantly be doing and moving and controlling. And no, you don't. You need to just sit down sometimes.
So I always say we're human beings, we're not human doings. And
Right.
what happens is the second that we have a manifestation, when we're new to it, we think we have to do a shit ton. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it like we
Otherwise,
go
it's
out.
going to go away. Like,
Otherwise, it's going to
otherwise,
go
we're going to
away.
lose it. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the problem is, and I'm going to ask you, Michal, like, how old's your youngest kid?
6.
Okay.
My oldest is
Imagine
almost 16. So there's like a nice,
10 years difference. I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Wait, so your 6-year-old boy or girl?
Boy,
Okay. If you
my
took him
love,
to Disney World, of
which we
course.
just did. Yeah.
Oh, what you just did. Okay, perfect. And let's say you laid some ground rules and you're like, listen, if you get lost, don't come looking for me. You're going to say, you stay right here. You're going to show him the place and I'll come find you. Right. Because
Mhm.
what happens if he tries to find you, you guys are never going to find each other.
Right.
And that's like when we're manifesting something and we don't stay still. We say we want something and then we go to be, do, have the thing. We go all
Yeah.
over the place. And the manifestation is like, I can't
Where
find
are you?
you. Yeah,
Right.
you're going all over the place. So it's in stillness and it's in
Hmm.
just shifting who we are on the inside that
Yes.
everything gets to transform on the outside.
Yeah. And something that I've also come to learn through an amazing rabbi, Rabbi Malka, who taught me that what's in your way is your way. And that to me has been like, I know it sounds so simple, but it's like it's all good. You know what I mean? Like all that stuff, don't try to control everything. Like whatever, like even like that getting lost moment where you're like, oh my God, I'm panicked. I'm freaking out. Where's my mom? I don't know. I can't think straight. Like if you just stop and accept certain things and you'll see where the blessing comes from and you'll see that things kind of work its way out. And
Mhm.
staying in that flow state is the most powerful thing, I think. I think we get knocked out of balance so easily in this world that we're living in. So yeah, I love that. Just trusting in the process and trusting that you're on the right road and, you know, keep your
And
head.
showing
Yeah.
up to any situation. Like this is something that I personally do. It's
Hmm.
like, regardless of what unexpected event shows up my way,
Hmm.
instead of getting lost in the sauce per se, it's like asking myself, okay, the Vivian who already has a manifestation she wants, how would she look at this? And
Right.
sometimes she wouldn't. That's the answer.
Right.
Sometimes she'd just be like, this is nonsense, not even
Right.
partaking, not subscribing. And
Right.
it's changed my whole life in the way that I manifest. Speaking of manifestation, what has been the Seventh Chariot's biggest manifestation to date? So far.
So we launched about like 6 months ago, which is crazy. I know, I know. I
Crazy.
mean, it's been in the works for years, years. Like the initial design was like is like 6 years old. So, but like I said, divine timing wasn't right. I was busy with babies, like not, not happening for me.
Hmm.
But I think the most exciting thing that's happening is that I'm finding the people are kind like someone reached out to me yesterday and I felt like I was being interviewed by her, but by the end of the conversation, she was like, "Oh my God, we need to share this with the world." And, it was just exciting to hear the feedback. So for me, I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. Like, there's a need for this technology. There's a need for this product. It's the first of its kind, which is like, to me, the most exciting thing. I have to be honest. Like, I don't know if I would necessarily feel as compelled to do this if it wasn't unique. So,
Mm.
meaning like who needs another star? Who needs another jewelry brand? Who needs another person selling something? I don't know. I felt like, "Oh my God, this doesn't exist. Like try to find it. It doesn't exist." So, it's fine jewelry, it's meaningful design, it's natural frequency technology, it's a tool of alignment. Like it's new. It's
It's a
new in
gap
its
in the
category.
industry. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like, okay, I like to me that's been the biggest manifestation. It's like, wow, there's something that I created or that came out of this or that has divinely been sourced through me that is like new in this world. And
Hmm.
to me, that's like the most exciting thing. So the feedback, I think the feedback, if that answers the question, it has been like the most impactful thing. And also just seeing where it's going, like where the pieces are
Mm.
landing. And I'm like, every day I'm like, oh, wow, that's so cool. Like, that's great. So I'm just really excited for like, the whole journey.
I always say that we don't realize, but we're the answer to somebody's prayer, or we have something that is the answer to somebody's prayer. And if you don't act on what you're meant for, if you don't act on what your soul is
Mhm.
craving for, it's
Mhm.
almost a sin because somebody out there is praying for exactly what you have to offer them.
Yeah.
And so I love this idea where it was like a real big gap in the wellness world. And instead of just sitting on that, you delivered and you got
Yeah.
to see firsthand how many people are positively affected by it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think just given my life experience also with certain things that I've struggled with, I kind of wish I had something like this. So I'm making it for everybody, not making it for myself. So I'm just happy to be able to share it with the world.
What are you manifesting in your
Yeah.
business in 2026?
Obviously, vision is I would love to be part of the wellness world more. So what I've kind of also realized in starting this business is that you don't have to put yourself in a box. You don't have to say like, okay, I'm fine jewelry, health, spirituality. Like I would love to find an experience or maybe create an experience around the jewelry and around the technology
Oh.
where we could have these like events or we could have these like experiences really, which is also exciting because there are certain aspects of the technology which if you get, people together in a room, you can experience certain things. So it's fun. So I would love to like manifest like those types of events and, just in terms of the health and wellness world in that category to me would be like super exciting, just to kind of find myself more in that area.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the experiences that one can have if they're together in a room with the jewelry?
So just energetically, there's obviously a feeling. when you're in a room with like-minded people and you're on the same wavelength type of thing.
Mhm.
But then there are certain things that we have like that we could like taste testing even types of things where you could like use the technology and put it in, let's say something and say, oh, you can taste the difference. You can, you know what I mean? Like interesting,
Yeah.
interesting concepts to expand upon in terms of really creating like a whole like approach.
Mm,
So that would be interesting. I love being in the room with like-minded people because it's like we're speaking the
so
same
important.
language and we're feeling the same things and we're aligned, and there's so much power in that.
Yeah. Every single quarter, I host a healers dinner. And it all stemmed because a few years ago, I was just questioning the people in my life. Like I didn't resonate. It wasn't that they were necessarily bad friends or fake friends, but
Mhm.
rather we had nothing in common anymore. I just didn't resonate. The things that were taking up their time were just things that I just didn't resonate to at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. And it happens
It
multiple
happens.
times. And so I
Yeah.
remember being like, how can I get like-minded women in a room together? And it's also men. So it's like-minded people in a room together.
Right.
And I hosted a few years ago my first healers dinner. I like personally invited all of these people that I maybe said one word to my whole entire life. And I said, listen, I'm having a dinner and now it's like a quarterly thing. And I have to invite you to the next one,
I
April
will be there. You
26th.
had a good friend of mine there, Nomi. She was
I
there.
love Nomi.
Yeah,
Yes,
she's
yes,
the
yes, yes.
best. I love
And she
her.
was on the
Yeah.
podcast too. I feel like the more you do self work on yourself,
Hmm.
sometimes it could feel extremely lonely because some people don't get it. Okay.
But
It's
how
just the
good is
truth.
it when you find the people that get it?
Exactly.
That is worth everything. I'd rather, have a few people that get it than deal with a bunch of people that don't. So yeah, that's really exciting. So I would love to find more for me and the company, just to find more experiences and situations like that where like-minded people can come together.
I love that. So maybe even
Yeah.
like hosting your own wellness
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I'm going to do a few rapid fires. These
Okay.
are questions that we ask almost everybody on the podcast.
Okay.
If you were to have a spiritual superpower, what
Mhm.
would it be and how does it help you with your business?
So my spiritual superpower would definitely have to be that like all-knowing feeling, that like full connection to the intuition. So while I do feel that like I'm slowly incrementally like getting better, I still obviously my Gemini suns and moons crowding all of that, the overthinking get in the way of what I really know is to be true. So if I had a superpower, it would be like I know it. I'm good. Like clarity. I want that
Hmm.
clarity to make that decision and to stay focused and to really say like nothing that external no external force is going to knock me off of my path because I know what I have to do. So that would be nice. And like I also genuinely give everyone the benefit of the doubt and love everybody and only think the best. So I just, in terms of like seeing everything clearly, I would like to have that kind of vision.
I love that. I feel like any spiritual superpower that anybody's ever drawn to is one that's in them already.
Right.
And it's ready to
Nice.
come out. And it's more
Okay.
like it's just getting so
Yeah.
good at shutting the
Yeah.
noise, shutting down the
Yes.
noise
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
anchoring in.
Yeah. Because it's like such a waste of time. I don't
It's
know.
such a waste of time.
And
But
maybe
sometimes
that's
it's so guilt. It brings up guilt because sometimes we're so used to it.
Yeah, so much guilt. And I just feel like as moms, as women, like we don't need any more guilt. Like we're good in the guilt department,
Right.
like bags of it. Like I'm good, like I don't want to feel any more guilt about anything. I want to feel light and happy and just positive and be able to handle life in a better way and not be as
Mhm.
reactive.
It's already inside of you. It's already done. It's about activating that now, right? Okay. If you were to go for dinner with
Yeah.
anybody dead or alive, fictional or real, who would you go with and where would you go and what would you eat? And what would you ask them?
Okay.
The whole thing.
So I love this question, even though it's like hard because like
Mhm.
obviously there's so many people that I'm like, how could I not want to go to dinner with King Solomon or Nikola Tesla
Mhm.
or Einstein or I don't even know, Rabbi Kook. Like I don't know, there's so many. But then I think, okay, not because of who he is and not because if he's like this like famous person, but I would love to go to dinner with Elon Musk.
Yes.
I'll tell you why. So he's really the person who I think could help me figure out how to take this technology to the masses without it's losing its integrity, without losing any sort of that value that comes with it. So when I think of like all the people obviously in the past that have been inspirations to me or that I look up to or that I read their books and their readings, it's all part of the story. But like, what's the future like? Like I genuinely
Mm-hmm.
feel like we need to make sure the world is a better place because we're leaving children here and it's it's for all of humanity, to just make sure that we do a good job here on Earth. So I really feel like Elon could kind of help me figure out like, maybe there's something more to the programming that we could do. Maybe we could, infuse other things. How do we bring this concept of alignment and a tool of alignment? How do we bring it to the masses and scale the business in a way where it could like help everybody?
Mm-hmm.
That's who I would want to hang out with.
I always say if I could like invite whoever I want to dinner one day, which I will do this, by the way, he would be at that table.
Yeah.
Where would you go to eat? What would you be eating?
Um, I don't love restaurants. Like I love more like at home situation experiences. And I've also felt like lately my sensitivity to food has been different. So I really just love like clean, simple, like a good steak, good potatoes, like olive oil, like that just came from the olive presses. Clean, simple, good, wholesome food is on and like nourishing, like good, and like homemade bread. I love bread.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it sounds delicious.
Like
And
maybe in Provence, actually, now that I'm being more specific now, like
I
under a
love the
table
spice.
in Provence with the vineyard in the background and the olive oil coming from the and just like clean food.
I love this. I love the detail because I could visualize it and see it so perfectly.
Yeah, like wood
Is
table.
there a book or podcast that you recently read that just shifted something inside of you?
I recently listened to a podcast. I'm trying to think. It was actually about. I'm trying to think who it was. I think it was like what's her name? She does manifestation.
Oh,
Lacey.
Lacey Phillips.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to leave us with before I ask you the very last question?
No, I think that overall, like the goal is to really kind of create a community and create a movement and create people, a space where people feel like, okay, this is something that I can actually like use to help me in my life for whatever reasons. Everyone has their own reasons. But at the end of the day, the mission is really to help people align with their highest self, to spread light, to spread love, and to just like keep the energy positive around us because it's so easy to fall back. Um,
Hmm.
just to, share the light with the world.
Yeah. So if somebody here is listening and is like, how do I get my hands on a piece?
Yeah.
Can they find you? Where can they buy a piece of jewelry?
So we have a website. Everything is online. I also have a showroom in the city. That's by appointment only, so they can always DM me. So much of this process is really that connection with
Hmm.
people. I also do have a salesperson who works with the company, and she's also available for showings and things like that. Obviously, like long-term beautiful manifestation goal is my own retail. But for right now, that's how we're operating. So we're definitely easily reached, easily accessible. Instagram at seventh_chariot.
Beautiful. And the website is
Yeah.
at seventhchariot.com.
Is the seventh chariot.com.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for being
You're
here.
welcome.
Hey, if you like this podcast episode, please download it, give us a nice review, and follow us on Instagram at Journey with VRD to get all the latest and the greatest updates. Till next week.